Hey there guys, how's it going? We are back with another video. This time we are going to be covering ailments and builds for all of the Valor plates in Godfall. This will be a quick reference guide to the ailments at the beginning of every video, just in case you haven't seen the series or you haven't watched the previous videos, or you're only looking for the video of the one that you're most interested in. So getting started, ailments in Godfall are like elements. So pretty much every damage type, whether if it's physical damage, fire damage, earth damage, water damage, air damage, void damage, which you can see on the screen, has a DOT, or a damage over time effect, a dot as it's called, that deals damage over time as applied as like a status effect. So in other games like Monster Hunter, you would have poison, status, those types of things that deal damage over time. In Godfall, each damage type has its own DOT, which is actually pretty interesting. And that's what we'll be covering for all the Valor plates that are focused around these ailment types. So for physical damage, you have bleed. For fire damage, you have ignite. Earth damage, you have poison. Water damage, you have ice or chill. You have air damage, which does shock or lightning, and void damage, which does curse. So that's what you're looking for. It'll say inflict with a percentage, and that's what we're going to be getting into now. So last but definitely not least, we have Moebius, the Valor plate of curse. Getting into her passives, she has a 10% chance to inflict curse, which is active just for using her at all times. She has her Archon's Fury super, which will summon 3 Sentinel towers that will deal damage. That will deal void damage. It'll be a beam, and we'll show it off later. It'll be a beam that does damage directly to one enemy. Then we have the Archon's Fury buff, which is during the activation of Archon's Fury, she gets an additional 90% to inflict curse, which makes it overall 100%. Then she has 100% damage to cursed enemies, and she also has a buff where it switches your weapon's base damage to void damage. So looking at her weapons, we have a variety of weapons. Like for her, this will be pretty difficult. This will be a very long video, and I'm not going to torture you like that. But if you've watched the other videos in this series, you know that there are always an uncommon set of weapons that help you with whatever attribute you're looking for. So for the cursed element, we have the Starcaller polearm, which will drop a bunch of times during your playthrough. But what this weapon does is it will always have a base damage of void damage, and it will always give you a percentage to inflict curse on your enemies. Now, because Moebius does void damage and she focuses around void and curse, she has a large amount of weapons that she can choose from. She has a huge variety, and it's kind of like Phoenix, where there are a lot of fire weapons and there are a lot of void weapons in the game. So you have a lot to choose from. So you always have options. Even while playing through the game, you'll unlock multiple legendary weapons that have void and void effects. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all of them because that would be way too much for a beginner's guide. But just know that she has a lot of weapons at her disposal, which is really good. Next, you have rings. She has 2 rings. I only have one of them at the moment. I have not been fortunate enough to get the other one to drop. But there is a void damage ring, which is uncommon, just like the primary weapon, the Starcaller. And then there is another ring that will inflict curse damage. So just like the weapon, there's a ring that matches it. The good thing about Godfall is that in the uncommon section, you always have an item that is tailored to your build. So if you're focusing around ailments, you're going to have a weapon and a matching ring that will inflict whatever ailment it is. And then you'll also have a matching ring that deals the base damage of whatever ailment you're working on. Next in our sections, we have the activated items. So your healing item, which you use to heal, you can use it up to 3 times, will have a varying effect. So she has her own, which we'll look at that one first. So the Obsidian Star is a life stone, which is rare. It will always have a primary effect of dealing void damage, and that will activate 10 seconds after using it. So for the duration, while your health is being recovered, you will get the 48% damage of void. And then the secondary effect is the one that's always random because it is a rare item. So for my two, I did not get curse as a secondary attribute. So the other item I would go to in that instance would be the bead of hardened aetherium. The bead of hardened aetherium will give you a varying percentage chance to inflict ailments. So this goes for all ailments. So you can use this on every build. If this is your first time watching a video in this series because you're only interested in Moebius, this item you can use for anyone else. So that would be Phoenix or Mesa or Vertigo or Typhoon. Anyone that uses a ailment as their base, you can use this item for them as well. Next, we'll be getting into banners, and the Plague Pennant is the banner that you want to look for. It will drop multiple times throughout your playthrough, and this is the item that will also, like the Bead of Hardened Aetherium, will increase your chance to inflict ailments and will increase your damage to enemies that are afflicted by an ailment. So with the Plague Pennant, it is a rare banner, and the banner is an AoE type support item. So again, this is an activated item. So when it is activated, you will have 30 seconds of this buff that will be in an AoE circle, which we will show in a moment. So lastly, before we get into combat, we want to look at the skill tree. And in the skill tree, you have an ailments tab. So this tab will give you plus 8% to all ailments from level 1, 2, and 4, and then level 3 and 5 will give you a total of 35 damage to enemies that have an ailment. So getting to this stat in your skill tree will help you out greatly. As you can see, for my Moebius, I have 25% curse. That is mostly because the Star Caller is not my primary weapon. Otherwise, it would be higher. It would be plus 30. And the reason why is that 25 is because the Lifestone and the banner only apply that percentage while active. So getting into our damage. So there you have the icon for void or curse, which shows up under their health bar, is that purple triangle, and they will glow purple and they will take a tick damage per second. So next we're going to look at the Archon's Fury. So there are the 3 towers that deal the void damage. Other than that, we'll look at banners. So I'm gonna put this banner in the middle. And as you can see, it goes past the door and it also goes over here to where we are off to the side. So that is a big area of effect for you and your allies to take benefit of, applying ailments to enemies. And if you're attacking bosses or if you're just dealing with a large mob or maybe elite enemies, that's a large area of effect for 30 seconds to just completely murder everything that's in there. Apply the, the DOT and just wreak havoc and do what you can. So that's it for this video. Moebius is pretty cool. She is probably the strongest of the female characters. I think she has the highest attack power among them, but she definitely has the largest variety of weapons to choose from, which makes her very fun to play and makes her very accessible. So she's really good to get. So the moment that you get her, when you get to the, I think it is the air realm. Yeah, when you get to the air realm and you unlock Moebius, she is definitely worth it. And she is so fun to play because she has so many weapons that do so many different things, from dealing AoE damage when you hit weak points to using your northern or southern technique to also deal damage, and also applying multiple debuffs to enemies and stuff like that. They really liked Void. It seems like the devs really had a lot of fun with Void damage and Curse. So I guess she got the most love early in the game. So definitely while you're playing, level 1 through 30, playing the story mode, you're going to see a lot of void weapons pop up for her, and you're going to see a lot of options for her in her accessories and in her amulets and her charms. But other than that, I hope you guys are enjoying the game. I hope this video was helpful for you in your playthrough of the game until you get to level 50, where you start to get some of the really cool and awesome items. And I hope this also helps you out to understand the game. And if you're not playing it, maybe give you some insight to playing Godfall. It is a very fun melee-based game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So if you are playing on PC, I hope to see you out in the battlefield. And if not, I will see you in the next video. Take care.